We had no phones. We had no TVs. We had nothing other than our voices to leave no stone unturned. So we really were intentional about talking endlessly with the hours that we did have. And yes, on paper, it was a short period of time, but it felt like 6 months in my brain.
Possibly the biggest pop culture moment of 2025 in Minnesota came early in the year. If you think back to Valentine's Day, you may remember the release of a dating reality show featuring a group of Minnesotans. Love is Blind Minneapolis portrayed the relationships of 5 couples who got engaged after a short but intense period of dating without ever seeing one another.
I'm Daniel.
My name is Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
I've waited 31 years to find my man, Daniel, so let's not waste another minute.
He might be sitting right across from you right now.
I hope so.
I don't know.
Later in the show, they came back to the Twin Cities and put places like Buck Hill, Bryant Lake Bowl, and the Como Conservatory on screens around the world. NPR News mapped the filming locations, talked to cast members, and heard some mixed reactions from fans. So at the end of the season, just one couple said "I do" at the altar. Taylor and Daniel Hastings renewed their vows again this summer, and they joined me in the studio to talk about life since the show. Thank you both for being here, Mr. and Mrs. Hastings.
Here we are. Great introduction. That was perfect.
That was
It's
amazing.
kind of like what just a year of events that it must have been for you two. And you can finally be public about your marriage and your relationship. Just to give people context, the show did film in 2024, aired like we mentioned in 2025. So I mentioned that you renewed your vows. That sounds like you've been married for like 30 years, but truthfully, it was just to kind of have that experience. Taylor, tell me a little bit about that, just with your families and what that was like.
Yeah. So when we got married on the Netflix show, we were only allowed 40 people each for a guest list.
Oh.
And I'm from a very large family. My mom's one of 8. Daniel's mom's one of 9. Like, we have a big extended family. So there was a lot of people that we weren't able to celebrate with for the Netflix actual wedding. That was our
Sure.
legal marriage. And a lot of people think that maybe the wedding on the show wasn't real, but that was when we were legally married. We both just wanted to have a celebration that we could do our own way. We could plan it how we wanted, have who we wanted, all the things. So we were pretty hands off with planning of the Netflix version. We met with a wedding designer and she kind of took the reins. But for this specific one, we wanted to do our own thing. So we had it at the same venue. Legally, we couldn't really talk about us as a couple. And so that venue was also under contract of the NDA with Netflix. So we felt like there was some comfortability. They knew who we were and we didn't have to really go into too many details. So it all worked out pretty perfect.
Yeah. You're like, listen, 40 people is not going to work for your mom's like, no.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do that, right? You'll have one wedding ceremony and then you'll get family together.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious to know, Daniel, what it's been like since you all were able to come forward with your relationship. What kinds of support has flown in or other maybe types of feedback? What's it been like?
For the most part, there's been a lot of support. We were the only couple to get married from our season. And so I think people thankfully got behind us a little bit, and so I'd say for the most part it's definitely support and positive vibes. There's always people who can find negatives in just about anything, and so there's of course that piece of it, but it's been great. I feel like it's been busy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we always have something going on, but it's a good busy, and we're thankful for everybody who got behind us and supports us, and we're doing our best, and marriage isn't easy always, but especially in the spotlight too.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have people supporting us and with us along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor, do people like shout you guys out on the street like, "Oh, there you are"?
Yeah.
Like, what do they say?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We were leaving a restaurant in North Loop on, what night was that? What day is it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know.
The days
Totally.
between
It's that time of
Christmas
year.
and New Year's Eve. You're like,
Saturday.
what's happening?
Saturday night, I think.
But they yelled through the window like, "Love is blind," and
Aw.
so we paused for a picture outside of the window. But I work at a hospital here in the Twin Cities, and I bring patients back for their procedure, and it's like, of all the questions to ask me when you're about to have your first colonoscopy, you want to ask if I'm Taylor from Love is Blind. I think there
You're
are
like, here's a distraction
bigger
for
things
you.
going
Yeah.
on here, but it is a fun distraction to talk to people about. So
Well, and you were also kind of representing Minneapolis, not you all personally, but kind of, and the show. And I feel like fans here in Minnesota especially had kind of expectations, right, around just kind of how the region is portrayed, because people do have so much Minnesota pride, as you both know, having grown up here and been from here. Daniel, was there anything that you felt like could have been portrayed differently, or were you happy with, the places and the ways that things were portrayed?
That's a good question. For me, I felt things were portrayed pretty accurately. I think there's a level of maybe passive aggressiveness to Minnesotans that, came out a little bit in our season versus maybe other seasons where people are more direct and straightforward. But I wasn't, mad or annoyed with how things were portrayed, at least for us. Again, things worked out for us, so that helps. But no, I mean, for the most part, obviously there's an editing process. And so watching it back, it's like, okay, sometimes this scene was edited a certain way and this was edited a certain way, which it just is what it is. But from a Minnesota pride standpoint, I thought we did well.
I feel like, Taylor, if you're on reality TV and the worst people can say is love is bland, that it was bland, I feel like you got out of there without, ruining the rest of your life. What did you think of that love is bland kind of terminology?
We kind of played into it, because Daniel kept saying short king season. So we were like short king seasoning for love is bland, like liven it up a little bit. No, I mean, I think that a lot of the contestants were like very serious about finding love and not so much like making good television in the drama aspect of things. So I think that a lot of the cast were very conscious of the cameras and knowing what speaking like negatively about their partner at the time could have done to them. So I think it was probably bland just because people were serious about it and didn't want to have too many repercussions when the show came out of, people seeing your story play out. And,
we forget it's a reality TV show, and so people tune in to see a bunch of drama. And I think our season didn't have a ton of drama. Yeah, obviously there's some, but I think people that watch those shows for the drama were maybe let down a little bit, which whatever. I don't care. Yeah. So
yeah, totally. I think too that's just the beginning, right? Like it's just the beginning in your marriage and in your journey together. It's also just the beginning of being able to share yourselves with the public and with people who kind of have an interest in what you all are doing, like you mentioned, because they felt like they got to know you and they were rooting for you. Taylor, your social media presence has really grown. You mentioned you work in a hospital, you're a nurse, busy, a full-time job. What has it been like balancing kind of this new part of your life, and what are you wanting to do with that? What are you wanting to convey?
I think that I just keep calling it a new normal, our lives now. Like nothing is the way it was before the show, but everything seems to be a normal pace for us now. So finding that balance between work and the public eye and partnerships with social media, and there's so many opportunities that come our way, but I think Daniel and I have both tried to stay very grounded in all of it. We always like run each other by what we're thinking, or, hey, there's this opportunity. What do you think about this? I always plan to remain working as a nurse, but I've gotten to do slightly less hours because of all of the fun opportunities we've had. So blessings all around. And I always would love as a nurse to advocate for patients. And I've gotten to do some partnerships with some different companies, promoting screening opportunities for colon cancer, and just being an advocate and starting those conversations. I think there was actually a young woman who was diagnosed with colon cancer because she went to get a colonoscopy based on me talking about it on the show, and that's how she found it. And so rewarding. That's really all I wanted to do was help one person. So the more that I hear from people like reaching out that they've had these experiences, I'm so grateful that even that has happened. So
yeah, it's like a way to expand your passions even further. How has it been for you, Daniel, kind of working this into your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun. We try to have fun with it. We're both goofy people, and it's still hard to like wrap my mind around that people care this much about what we're doing with our lives, and it's like 3 years ago we were just normal people, and now we're a married couple that has been kind of thrown into the spotlight, and for the most part it's fun, and so I think it's a balance. You could dive in and make it your whole personality, or you try and stay grounded a little bit in who you are and who you were and kind of your values, and then just work it in and have fun with it. And I don't know. It's we continue to find the balance of, how much social media do we want to bring into our life and how much do we want to, not. And so it's an ongoing, balance that we've continued to find. But we're just like grateful and so like fortunate that we're even in this position to have the conversation of like, wow, we have a following. What do we want to do with it? It's fun to do things like this Christmas card that we did this past year, made it into somewhat of a charity thing for Angel Foundation. So giving, support to families going through cancer. And it's cool to have a platform to be able to do something like that, And so before I would just post a Christmas card and it's like, yeah, it's crazy, whatever. And now it's like, oh, it's crazy, whatever. But now we're doing it for a good cause because we have a following and a platform to do it. So I think, stuff like that, like your, colonoscopy stuff too, is a huge part of, how we want to utilize the platform we have.
Well, and how nice to have partnership to make those decisions together in a conscious way. And you're like, am I losing myself? Where am I going? I feel like in a way people might say from Love is Blind that they didn't really know each other, or how could you make a choice like that so early on? But really, you've had some really unique experiences together that can reveal a lot about a person. Like Taylor, what has it been like? Do you feel like that has all brought you closer in a way, or like expedited things in a way?
Yeah, expedited for sure. I always was telling, because there were a lot of skeptical people in our circle when we were still filming, like before we got married. Like, what do you mean you're going to get married? You just met 5 weeks ago. And really, unless you've experienced the pod portion yourself, it's so hard to describe. We spoke for over 100 hours of just talking through a wall. We had no phones. We had no TVs. We had nothing other than our voices to leave no stone unturned. So we really were intentional about talking endlessly with the hours that we did have. And yes, on paper, it was a short period of time, but it felt like 6 months in my brain. I don't know if you can back me up on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an experience that it's hard to explain. And like you said, if you haven't gone through it, you can't really wrap your mind around what it's like to sit in a room and talk to someone for 4 hours, and not have your phone and not have distractions. And you're like there intentionally to find your person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So you're having the conversations that need to happen. Typically in the real dating world, it's 6 months before you talk about, start talking about.
If I ask about kids on the first date, like,
right.
there will not be a second.
Yeah. Or even like finances, like, it's like, are we going to have a joint bank
really
account? It's like,
yeah.
So it's those types of conversations that if you're there for the right reasons and you're intentional about finding your person, you're going to have those conversations. And of course it's weird not being able to see them. But it worked for us and it's worked for other couples too. So we dove in and went all in with it. And yeah, it was pretty wild.
Is there anything about that type of experience that you think people can carry into regular dating? Because I just think, when's the last time anyone had a 4-hour conversation without their phone?
Right. Yeah.
With anybody in your
Right.
life. And I just wonder if it kind of forces you to dig really deep. I don't know, Taylor, what do you think? What advice would you give that is actually a good aspect?
Yeah, I think, Daniel and I talked a lot about we never probably would have found each other without Love is Blind, because Daniel never dated anyone older than him, and I never dated anyone my same height. And so
Maybe like an inch taller.
we had definitely an inch taller. Yeah. And so I had these settings on my dating apps, as stereotypical as dating apps may be, that I was like hard set on not even bothering to see people with that didn't meet that requirement. And what a stupid requirement it was. And I didn't really fully grasp that until I did the show. And so my advice would be that those things really do not matter. Finding a good soul is what matters. And they may be right in front of you and you look past it because of superficial, I don't know, height requirements, or I was
Age
older than you.
requirements
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that you could, date based on, age and height and occupation and, whatever. And at the core of like what you're looking for, a lot of that just doesn't matter. And so it's probably easier said than done in, in the real world. But, thankfully we were forced into a situation where we had to, dive into it and forget those things. But yeah, I think I would tell my younger self, like, hey, if she's a year older than you, it doesn't really matter. Like,
Or two.
Yeah, or two. Yeah.
Lots of rounding going on. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I love what you guys are talking about because it's about just what are your intentions. And I think that's something that can change. And for a lot of people this time of year, with it being New Year's, people are thinking, how do I want to go into this year? I don't know if that's something that you all do, if you're resolution people. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, we were talking about it on the drive here, actually. Like, let's make some health goals, fitness goals, like 2026. It's a shame that I'm guilty of it too, that we wait for a new year to like start those habits sometimes. I don't know what was stopping me 2 months ago from starting some of those habits, but yeah, I think like it's something exciting to look forward to as well and to motivate you. So set those goals.
Yeah, I mean, if a goal is to find your person,
Yeah.
you could do it in 2026. I mean,
Just be intentional.
thankfully we don't have to be in the dating world
yeah.
anymore, but
We always are like, can you imagine going on a first date again?
And you have to see the person?
Terrible.
Do you guys ever like put the wall back up if you have to have a conversation that's not like, let's not look at each other and talk this out? I wonder if that's a good.
We played that game a bit when we were like still new to each other, I would say. But now, we haven't played the wall game in a while.
no, it was weird initially because just naturally, if I'm not looking at you and I'm looking somewhere else and I hear your voice, it kind of brought me back to the pods, and it was like, oh yeah, that there she is,
Aw.
But yeah, we haven't played the wall game.
Yeah, now you can't get rid of me.
I know.
You wish you had a wall between us sometimes.
Well, okay. I'm so happy for you both. And truly, like I mentioned when you all first came in before we started rolling, it has been a year of a lot of difficult news. And for us to be able to feature to people who are happy and who have, made this situation happen for themselves and who are doing something positive with their platform, it really means a lot. So thank you both.
course.
Just our one final question. I'll start with you, Taylor. Do you think love is blind?
I'm a little biased, but I do think love is blind. Yes.
And what about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it is. I will say that, like, to tell someone that in the real world and be like, hey, looks don't matter. That's a hard thing to swallow. So, like, yes, I get that there's a level of attraction,
Sure.
but for us, love is definitely blind. And you're also beautiful, so that helps.
We fell in love without knowing what each other
Yeah.
looked like at the end of the
Truly.
day.
It's possible,
Regardless if
yeah.
people stay together or not, it's not is marriage blind the question, it's is love blind. And there was a
Yeah.
lot of people who fell in love through the wall. It wasn't just us.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do think love is
Yeah,
blind.
great point.
Yeah.
Daniel and Taylor Hastings, thank you so much for stopping by Minnesota Now. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Thank
New
you for
Year,
having
Nina.
us.
Thanks for having us.